Oh my gosh, my fellow damanerds, we are in it for another episode. I hope you're all ready for this one because, I hope you're ready. I'm saying that because you're probably not ready. We had an amazing guest just in our past episode. We're going to have another spectacular, masculine, best smile in the game, hardest down spikes, Thorkild May, Damanerds episode 57. Me and Rod were just talking about, we don't even know what year of Sandra it is, probably 15 or something. Nerds, let us know.
Yeah, these nerds have been slacking.
I'm MJ, one of the hosts, Kendertianment, also always accompanied by my buddy, and so excited to have these dudes here in Japan, the eastest of the coasts in Japan right now. Rod, Dama.
What's up, nerds? As you know, we're here again in the less virtual studio this time, the real studio, which actually we're here in Sumida, Tokyo, in a nice little coffee shop called Moo Coffee. Where if you're looking on the video right now, you can see Ayumu popping in.
Oh, yeah.
Ayumu is the owner of Moo Coffee here.
The best coffee joint / kendama, little hangout spot in the middle of Tokyo. Hanging out, you want to check out Asakusa, you want to check out the Sky Tree. It's right here.
Hell yeah.
In the heart. You got to do it.
Check out Moo.
Come to my place.
Yeah, so shout out Ayumu. Thank you, Ayumu, for letting us use the space, making us some delicious coffee to fuel our episode here. And as MJ mentioned, and as you can see if you're watching the video, we got the one and only Thorkild May and been stealing some nerds here.
It's good. The chromiest of the chromies. Full decked out Krom, and we're so excited. This is, episodes with the Euro homies we've been wanting to do for such a long time. But me being in Japan, Rod being, over in Canada, and then getting a third time zone in there.
It's a little convoluted real quick.
It got tough. So, destiny just had us come together, or maybe not destiny.
It's destiny.
Nobu. Nobu had us come together. Catch and Flow is happening this week.
Destiny is his stripper name.
Tell people about that. So we're here. Yes, Moo. So cheers, guys.
Cheers to that. I hope you nerds have a nice beverage ready for yourselves to sip on while you're listening to all these
definitely
juicy stories.
Possibly mini shout out to Breview, Adam. We're all coughing it up right now.
Yeah. I guess coffee gang it is right now, right?
All right. Thorkild, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
I'm currently here with my iced oat latte.
Yes.
Yeah. And the two homies.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Super excited. I mean, it's been such a long time since you came back to Japan. If we're focusing on Catch and Flow right now, you were a judge.
I'm a judge. Yeah.
And last time, was that your first time being judge? No, second.
This is my fourth time being a judge. Oh, yeah. So I was judging first time physically here in Tokyo. Yeah. Then I've been judging twice virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm back finally.
Yeah.
Back to it. That's right. You were doing what was it? 4 a.m. Wake to it? No. It was a crazy time for you doing the online.
Yeah. One time we had a little session at the Krom shop with Rolf and Marcus participating.
Yeah.
Catch from there. And the other time I was in a cabin up in Sweden with the homies and we had all the snow and just became all night.
I remember the snow and
this stuff in the bag with Yasu taking the V. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, such an amazing run from Yasu, and all that time, Krom has been one of the companies that has been solidified into kendama worlds. As for me, I always say the big three. Any metalheads out there, thrashers. We talk about the big four. We got the big three companies: Sweets, Kendama USA, Krom. I believe those are the guys who have been continuously making new stuff and putting it out. Of course, we have our the godfathers. Going back to Iwata Kobo, Iwata, Mugen Musos, for all of those who know recent Iwata-san, but
and Yamagata Kobo.
Yamagata, of course. Still kicking it. Trying to keep up, It's an interesting kind of unbalance they started the kendama, taking the aspect of what's not broken, why would you fix it? So they just kept it rolling for a long time until it got refreshed, rebirthed, seized, and now they're just trying to keep up. But Krom Kendama is one of those companies, outside of Yumu Kendama, who has been doing a lot of different stuff and possibly being a really hard influence to the other companies.
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, ever since, like, I remember the first time I saw you guys, like, Krom Kendama was Dama Fest when we were all together in Atlanta.
2013 in Atlanta.
Yeah, and you guys came down to Atlanta and just set up the booth, and none of us knew who you guys were, but we were like, holy shit, these guys are fucking rad. And then we, like, had that legendary freestyle cipher where you bounced the pizza off the roof and still fucking somehow got it on the spike, and we all lost our minds. And that's, like, I guess a moment also that just, like, solidified you guys in like kendama history also, which, like, brought it all.
Rod, what was the first experience, sights when you laid your eyes on Thorkild?
On Thorkild? I don't know. That's a good question. I think it might have been at the booth at Dama Fest when you guys were all set up and everybody was just coming in because you guys had the Krom Deluxe is all set up and nobody really had that kind of stuff set up yet.
Old Dama.
Yeah, like the different painted shit and like the oak cans and stuff like that. Not a lot of companies were messing with different woods at that time. So to see like a whole table full of like oak cans, you guys had the big kendamas, which nobody else was messing with then. Yeah. And so like, it was just a spectacle. Everybody was just like, whoa, shit, and it's all new. Nobody had heard of it. It's from Denmark. What the fuck, from Denmark?
Yeah.
Really? Like, what? How Japanese game in America from Denmark? What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Super confused.
Yeah. So I remember coming up to the table and seeing you and Phil standing there and just being like, these guys seem so rad. Like, just like you and your big fucking smile and like welcoming energy, and Philip with his charisma, just like talking to everybody and everyone. And it was just, yeah, it's one of those moments for sure I'll never forget. It was great.
Yeah.
For me, it was the first anniversary or whatever, the year anniversary Terra video comp where Thorkild in like the full European steez, you know, the outfit was very European-ish. You know, my dad's from Croatia, so I get the feeling. I know when I went to Europe like plenty of times back in the day, I remember specifically one of my cousins in Croatia being like, you know, everyone's looking at you. I'm like, why are they looking at me? They're like, they know you're not like from here. I'm like, how the hell? They're like, your shoes. This is your fashion. And I didn't really think about it until that point. But then, you know, if you look into it, if anyone's been to Europe, it's a different style.
Many different styles. Yeah.
So many different styles. And there's a lot of history that goes back to it. So in any case, that Terra video, big smiles. Dude, the cinematography of being like super far away, you know, was really cool to see like the atmosphere you're in. Like, I don't know who shot that.
Emil Boda.
Little Emil shot that.
Yeah, little Emil. He was
super junior. He was like 12. Yeah.
Maybe 13.
It's such a great edit. That's a Dama Nerds homework right away off the bat. But
absolutely.
Fuck, we've been talking too much. Thorkild, how'd you start off getting into this Japanese wooden bowl cup?
All right. Well, I got into kendama after my first year in high school. I'm 17 years old. And I'm at a music festival. It's a 7-day thing, so you camp out with all the boys and all the homies.
Yeah.
And I was pretty faded in my camping chair with no intention of moving. As I was sitting there, I was looking out in the horizon, and I saw this dude playing with this game. And I was like, hey, I gotta get my lazy butt up and say, you know, I gotta holler at this dude. And growing up, I always been into juggling, like juggling balls, Diablo. I was like riding the uni bike. I was skateboarding.
Yeah.
Riding BMX, painting graffiti, DJing, like different stuff.
Yeah. Extreme. And you know, it was extreme sports.
Yeah.
X Games.
And just juggling and sort of stuff. And this guy, he had a kendama and he was seshing. He's called Morten Lindberg. Shout out. M-Pop. Yeah, I'll tell you what that means later. That's kind of PG. I don't know. Are we PG on this one?
No, you're fucking rated. This is not your mom's been Dama.
Okay. No. Yeah, so M-Pop means Morten Pick and Patter because his name is Morten. And he only talked about pick and patter, which is tits and dicks.
Okay.
So it is a short acronym for that. It's just M-Pop. Shout out. And M-Pop, the homie, he had an extra kendama. He was like sessing the Uzi, the Sora, but he didn't like his TK, so he was like, you can cop the TK, and I got it for like $10.
Nice.
Or something, yeah. And we became homies, and he taught me a few tricks, and we started hanging out, and all the boys in the camp that wanted a kendama, like Matthias, Philip, Isaac, you know.
Yeah.
And this was pre-smartphone, believe it or not, 2009.
Yeah.
So when they came back, they were like, okay, let me start up my computer and see if I can find a kendama online.
Yeah.
And in 2009, acquiring a kendama in Europe was almost impossible.
Yeah.
So it was very obscure French websites that sometimes had them in stock kind of deal.
Yeah.
And my friends, they already finished high school, so they were planning their sabbatical going to India, Nepal, and Japan. And I was like, you gotta visit Yamagata Kobo.
Oh shit.
Oh.
And they were like, we gotta. And this was their last stop of the trip. So these broke-ass backpackers were like, hey, Umetsu-san, can we camp in our tent outside the factory when we visit? And I was like, sure thing, I'll pick you up in my SUV and we'll go to the onsen. And they just hit it off, and they hit it off so well that, I mean, we made a bet, actually. We made a bet. If nobody had taken the domain kendama.dk, kendama.denmark,
Yes.
I would acquire the domain and they would bring back a few boxes. But Umetsu-san is a good businessman, so we ended up spending like everything we had in kendamas. Like, we didn't start small. We like the first order we did for Soros was like $5,000.
Yeah.
We're just like, let's get it.
Just all in.
Yeah, just all in. So that's how it started, and then yeah.
So at that time, you're still 17 years old and you're already thinking about selling kendama?
No, it wasn't so much about selling. It was more like we were playing kendama all the time.
Yeah.
And the homies, they got a few, like they were using a lot of time online just to get one.
Okay.
And then everybody else in high school, I was, always out and hosting parties, DJing, and doing all these different things. And they wanted to play as well. We were like, yeah, let's play, and yeah, you can have my old one and this kind of deal. But we just didn't have enough kendamas. So we just wanted more kendamas for the homies.
Yeah.
So you want to make a place where we could all easily get kendamas?
Yeah.
Not
Just to keep spreading it more so.
Yeah, we just wanted to have more kendamas. Like, everybody wanted to play, and we're like, let's play, that was it. And so in the beginning, like, nobody in my family does business. Yeah, I'm the first one. So we didn't know a lot, and we just sold them at cost, basically.
Okay.
For the first.
Wow.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. And then at some point we're like, wait.
If we're gonna keep doing this, maybe we
should switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought it was it wasn't like a business in the beginning. It was like a project for the past couple of years. I mean, just like a thing, doing it on the side. I was having like in my locker at the high school. It's like had the 5. This was like losing
Quiver. Yeah.
I feel
they do what leaf green or light blue or red or
nice. It's so funny, man. How like that's so similar to like in Canada as well. Like we had Kendama Edmonton, and same story where like they bought like a big box of Azoras and whatever, and then like I had a bunch of them as well. So I would just walk around Calgary with a backpack full of kendamas, and whenever I'd be playing, meet somebody like, well, that's so cool. Like, where do you get one? I'd be like, well, I got one right here. You got $20. Like, it's easy.
Same exact deal.
Yeah.
it's like the dude on the beaches, like pulling the cooler of like,
dragging the heaviest
coconut. Yeah. You got the kendamas. I got the right here. So who was in that project with you?
Yeah, so we were this crew of friends. So Matthias and Philip and Isaac, and then it ended up being Philip and Isaac and I actually forming the business.
After you got the domain.
Yeah.
Kendama DK.
Kendama.dk, yeah.
Yeah. I still have stickers that fucking...
I was just thinking about that too. Look, I might even have some of the little pieces of candy. Yeah. So you guys used to put them across to the Kendama DK line, right?
You saw the licorice.
Yeah, I had. I might still have some like wrapped up in my little stickers.
I remember.
Well, I mean, they're vintage now.
Yeah.
Emoto. I remember like back in the day, like he got some of them, and we were like talking about it one time, and he's like, "That's some of the worst candy I've ever had."
The good kendamas, but the candy could maybe use some work.
Okay, so it was those handful of people.
Yeah, and at this point, I feel like when starting, there was like 10 or 20 videos on YouTube.
Yeah,
it was very low key. 2009.
Yeah,
it was like high technique kendama. There was like a few Japanese ones.
Yeah, extreme kendama. Yeah.
Colin,
freedom kendama.
Yeah,
like the dude at the parking lot.
Yeah.
So when he was the pain, everyone knows the part. It was goals because he was so consistent and such a performer. Like I was like really inspired by him. Early on in Denmark, we had maybe 20 kendama players, 20 people who knew about kendama when I got into it. And it was all these skateboarders and rollerbladers and these cool dudes.
Yeah.
And I was still living in a small town called Sleep near the Middelfart.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And,
I know about Middelfart. You can't forget that one. But now you're living in a place called Sleep.
Sleep.
Oh, there's a little T. It's Sleep.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyways, I would go to Copenhagen and I would film with these badass boys. And one of them, he worked at a production company, and we filmed the most legendary thing, but the boss deleted it. But we had this trick. But I remember I was like 6 months in, and I didn't really want to spike it because I thought spiking the kendama was difficult, but I loved just flowing. So I was just like always with the cups. Yeah, like really going in. And then I remember these were my heroes because they could do Bird Over the Valley, and one of them hit a lunar.
Yeah,
And when we started on a Uzi, we thought lunars weren't possible.
impossible. They were.
Yeah. I mean, they were so slippery. But then I went to the jam and I did like can flip orbit. And everybody was like, whoa.
Some tricks, one motion. Yeah.
Because I was kind of like flirty with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the state of things at this point.
Right. So at that time you had the kendamas, you were starting to distribute them, sell them out to other friends and stuff.
Yeah.
Website.
After a year, so 2010, we started doing that. We went back to the same festival. Most of us stock, like I was sleeping in the tent where the stock was.
Yeah.
And somebody like robbed our tent.
Oh, what?
Like cut it open with a knife.
To get the Damas?
And stole like
Not the
damas.
Damas?
They took the damas and the cash and my friend's new jacket. And all this happened while I was sleeping.
Oh, what the fuck?
You were in there.
And he was like pissed at me. He was like, how could you sleep? And I was like, dude, I was tired. We're going at it.
While you sleep.
Damn, dude, that's
Yeah, it was a little bit of like a rocky start. But
that's such a ballsy move, cutting someone's tent open while they're sleeping in it.
I didn't even know anyone was in there. Just cut it. It was just like, oh shit.
Yeah, but they kept going. Like that's some fucking cojones.
Whoa.
yeah, wild. Yeah. Now that you think about it, I didn't really think much of it then. It just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I was just sleeping and waking up, and then
You wake up feeling all refreshed. You're like, wait, something's missing here.
Well, when did the name Krom come into play? Because you had,
yeah.
it's a very interesting name. It's one that people in the community are like, how do I say? Is it Krom or is it Krom?
Krom.
Right. There's even a few people who like in a few videos they'll explain. I think maybe you or like Bonds or something, like just touch upon it like a little bit. It's like Krom or Krom, but anything's okay.
Anything's okay.
Anything's okay. So what's the meaning of the Krom?
All right. So after a while, like I was working for this startup in New York for a bit while after high school.
Yeah.
And it was a sourcing company. So I got to know about sourcing. They were making this new platform. I was like doing all the graphic design.
Okay.
And website design. And then I got to know a little bit about sourcing. And I've always been really interested why things look like they do. This t-shirt or this packaging. I always just been having like a lot of interest in product design.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we started getting better at kendama after a bit. And making our own tricks, which was much easier back then because the vocabulary was so much smaller.
Yeah, in countries.
Yeah. And then we were carrying Sunrise and Kendama China and Usura, and we started giving them a lot of feedback on how to make the product better, how to make it look better, and they all listened, but we never saw any action.
Oh, okay.
So I figured, okay, it's time to make what I want. I want to make a funky kendama. I want to make the best kendama in the world. And at this point, I was painting graffiti a lot, and the chrome color is the biggest and fastest, and we can paint on top of every surface. Also, it's very versatile. It's difficult to paint on top of as well with other colors.
It's a type of paint.
The silver, yeah.
Oh,
the big silver can.
Okay.
We just call it chrome. And there's a Danish word called forkromet, which is basically silver-plated, but a bit more like a slang. Yeah. So that word would fluctuate a lot in the crew, and the chrome can was also like around all the time. And then I loved alliterations and brands. I always did. So Donald Duck, Carl Carney, all these different icons. I think that those work pretty well with brands. And the vision was international from the first beginning. I have a difficult time thinking about, we should do this in this country. For me, the world is one. So it was, and the kendama, yeah. And then I wanted to call it Krom because I thought it was fun to have a little bit of the Scandinavian heritage in there. We could also just go international Krom kendama, and I think that's a fine way to say it, Krom kendama. Like it works. But just having like the letters, and also being into graffiti, I think the KROM letters look really good. A lot of good graffiti names have 4 letters.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just
It's a nice round number.
yeah.
Kind of
I mean, we had different names. I remember Philip. He was like Red Sky kendama.
red sky.
Yeah.
Instead of O's
Instead of like
an open
sky.
But is it?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That might be where he's got it from, like subconsciously.
Yeah.
and then red, it would be like rising sun. That's what the Japanese.
That's cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been something else, right? But I was like, at this point, it was Isaac, Philip, and I running the company, and Isaac and I were like, nah.
I mean, that's a tough one,
Yeah.
The shorter the better, it's really easy to remember.
Yeah.
Like, there's more of an impact.
Yeah, so when we were about to make our own kendamas, we're like, we can't call them a domain. We can't call them kendama DK. And I don't really like nationalist
Yeah.
Okay.
brands.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think the world is one, we are one. No, it's a mental concept I don't fuck with. So I wanted to be more like a thing.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Cool. That's really cool. And naming something, especially something like a company that you like you're saying you want to take international and you want to have an impact with, is like you want to, like, the name is the first thing that people know and hear, right? So like you want to make sure that has an impact and has like something to it that like catches your ear and something. So it makes sense that you would put so much effort into, like you're saying, something with like the 4 letters. It's quick. It's got some alliteration to it, so it's catchy. It's got a cool meaning behind it. It's got that like Scandinavian influence, like you're saying and stuff. So it's like really nice and fitting. It's like, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was very intuitive. It just kind of like, we just kind of put it out there for fun, and then it just stuck.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, let's make a list with other names. And we're like, we already knew.
Yeah.
Wild. We just knew. It's like, okay, we'll make the list. We'll sit in the park.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well,
But it's good because that makes you feel like more confident when you're like,
Yeah.
yes, this.
so, we tried to do better. We can't.
Exactly.
We had it already.
Yeah, I just knew. I was like, yeah, okay, let's make the list.
So with that Krom kendama, or Krom kendama, I think probably when I first started saying it, I would say Krom, but I tend to like to say it as it should be pronounced. So I've heard, Krom from you and Philip right out of your mouths and stuff. So it's like, it's Krom. As well as like, you could kind of mix it up, be like Krom, like as in like, the type of material. This is like metallic, reflective surface. And I was thinking, I was like, have there ever been an actual Krom Dama? And then it struck me, and I got a little present from you, Thorkild, back in the day. First time we met in like 2014, the Mugens Muso tour, Gloken tour. Went out to the fucking woods in Japan, hung out. You guys came for the Muso release party, doing pizzas with Phil the Drill, fucking on the street, getting interactive and stuff. When the hype was real in Japan, when they were like, holy shit, Westerners play kendama?
Yeah.
And they're playing it like a yo-yo? Yeah.
The gaijin smashing.
Super. So I gifted you a t-shirt of some designs of mine, and then you're like, sweet, I'm gonna hit you back when I get back to Denmark. And you sent back an awesome package, had a bunch of different damas and stuff. And I got one that I was like, what the fuck is this?
Oh shit. Oh shit. The mirror Dama.
Oh, there it is.
The Krom.
So sick.
Wow.
But
Yes.
the towel was made out of plastic.
Yeah.
It was so janky. There's no inclination on the bevel.
No, yeah, there's no actual bevel. It's just straight.
It's just a
What's
whole
the story of this? Because I do know you actually did have different. You had Krom.
Did we
like
did we actually send you this?
You sent.
My God.
That wasn't the only thing though. There was like a mini. There was you hooked me up with like 2 deluxes and shit. A bunch of candy.
I'm happy.
A bunch of that delicious candy.
I mean,
This is tough.
This is tough. Yeah.
I mean, like you were saying back before, like why even spike it when you have enough fun just cupping and flowing? Almost to the point of like, why would we spend time with extra paint for anything when all I want to do is just have fun and throw it around?
Totally.
Yeah, so the story behind this Tama is the Krom, and that paint is difficult. And I feel like a lot of kendama paints are difficult because we need to like do like the toy regulation stuff, and it's really like there's a lot of compliance.
Yeah.
And we haven't found like a safe way to do the actual Krom.
Yes.
But this is an experiment, and I think this is a Christmas ornament where it's been modified.
That's so dope.
And
It makes sense because it looks like
with like a lot of, I think it's really like, those are usually like really light.
yeah,
So we just put like from a candle, like the hot wax.
Oh, you filled it full of wax?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's actually smart.
Because it would like dance up.
Yeah.
And then just like put this ratchet little tube in there. You got it.
That's amazing. And I was it in 2014 when I was in Copenhagen at the Krom shop. You had one of these, and we made a small edit with them. You remember? And I got a quick trick in it, but in the edit, it's very crazy, funky Krom vibes where everything is fucked up looking, and it's like you're fucking ate 4 grams of mushrooms, and you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. But there is a little rod trick in there. Yeah, I remember filming one.
I'm happy you remember, right?
Yeah.
I'm happy you guys remember so much because it's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some kids' homework.
You came for the EKC, I guess.
Yeah.
We hosted the one.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, we did the tour out to Middelfart and stuff, and yeah, we had the Kendama Olympics.
That was
Moshikame, the little Ken with the triple XL Dama.
Yeah, and we had like the stringing race, the lighthouse race around the house.
Dude, you killed the Dama Olympics.
Yeah, I remember the longest lightning drop. Yeah, I was the longest lightning drop champion for a while. Yeah, that was sick.
We should bring back the Dama Olympics.
Absolutely, I'd be.
It's a really good format. For a lot of formats.
What was it? We had like the relay race thing where you had to, the person at the front of the line got a baseball bat. You had to put your head on it and spin around 3 times, and then do like around USA or something. And then it was fucking impossible. You're like so busy, and you're like, catch the ball, the cups, never mind, spike it. But yeah, man, that was a really good.
I feel like that's needed to make kendama fun again.
Absolutely.
I was talking with EG about this last night.
Yeah.
How it's become so technical and so much like one more backflip, one more flip.
Yeah,
Okay, and it's not really.
30 more taps.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
Yes.
Oh, it is.
But it's not all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be the main focus.
Totally. And that's why there's a lot of things like, like Kendama Christmas, or like that's also like what I try to accomplish with like the New Year New Edit comp, is like to make it more inclusive for people who aren't tapping their life away. Yeah, you should. You should all participate in the New Year New Edit.
And also the Krom trick of the year.
That
We got $1,000 on the line. Just say,
Yeah.
this guy took it last year. We don't have a lot of.
did.
Yeah.
That was so dope. That was like,
What'd you spend them on?
I was in Mexico, and actually there's a funny thing because I was broke as shit at the time, so it couldn't have come at a better time. I got that, I remember sitting in the hostel in Bacalar in Mexico, and I saw the thing, or Skaggs called me, and he's like, Rod, you just won Trick of the Year, and I'm just like, holy fucking yes! I'm going to buy some tequila, motherfuckers, let's go! Like, it was so sick.
Yeah,
and then, I came to Battle at the Border, and that was when we all met up, and it was like this real thing, and I was just like, oh, yes. And I went back to Mexico with some cash, and it's like, I don't actually know what I would have done without that. It was a very well-timed thing for me. It was one of those synchronistic things in my life. It was just like, without that, I would have been like making a phone call to dad, the Vancouver dad taking out a loan. Right. So it was really nice.
Yeah, but that's really what I want to do with kendama. What I've been trying to, really making,
fun new face.
Yeah, and taking kendama. So when I won Catch, like in 2014, it was super cool and all. And at the same time, it's like, okay, after a bit, like, of really being on top of my kendama game, 2014, 15, like 13 through 15 is probably like my high time in kendama. It's kind of like, sometimes like, why did it fall off? Sometimes I ask myself, like, I played more recreationally because I decided, okay, now it's more important to focus on the community. And in order to do that, I need to build this brand to feed into the community and actually be able to get money for people to win and support a kendama lifestyle and have actual kendama pros who's not just a pro but who can actually make a living from kendama. So I'm really happy to hear that it's actually been going that direction.
Absolutely. And there has been like a handful of pros that have been like, getting money from their sponsors like Krom or other companies to like just go out and do their thing, like Bonds was like for you guys was doing that. for a while, and like like every company kind of has one. You know, like I guess I would be the Terra one.
Base almost.
Yeah.
Mascot.
Yeah, not even necessarily, the face or the, I guess, you're right, the face of the mascot kind of thing, We're like the main guy who goes out to the thing and just does the thing,
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, that's something that I think a lot of us have been pushing for a long time, where like we're all kind of realizing, as you get older, you're like, well, shit, like, I love just playing and I love the play lifestyle, but I can't fucking put food on my table by doing that, right? So it's like, so how do I do this while making a living off of it without like, being like running down the street and fucking shoving things down people's throat, being like, buy this, like doing it in a tasteful, like fun way.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to also like, like Taka, you're saying, why'd you fall off? But your play style was just it was the flow of it. And at that time, all of the kendama tricks, the normal play wasn't super technical as it is now, because it was still at its infancy of getting to that point. So just doing simple tricks, but consistently, and with a different kind of flair was the thing that stood out.
Yeah.
Like when you took the stage versus Taiga at the end of Catch and Flow 2014, I'm sure a lot of the Japanese fans were like, Taiga's like, champ in JKA. He's going to take it. But then here's this new kind of platform of Catch and Flow where your flow style was so different, as well as the performing side that you had. Like that was one thing that shocked me so much.
Stage presence.
You and Phil doing simple tricks, but like the way you would like amp up the crowd, Phil with his like flamingos showing off his long ass legs and behind the back and shit. Like it was simple classic stuff, but you had an extra like
a flair
to it.
But even back then, some of it was tech.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, I remember doing juggles and kendama early on, and I'd never seen anybody do it before I did it. And I would like get into doing all these different variations.
Yep.
And back at that first catch, I think it was just Bonds, Bosch, and I who were doing juggles. Nobody else was doing juggles. It was not a thing. And doing like different variations of juggles, like different ways and stuff. It wasn't a thing. Like Luna Rowers on stage. I mean,
I was gonna say,
I was like really. I had my few things that, and also like we were like pizza tosses. Like those were new. Like Matthias and we came up with the pizza toss.
You guys are nuts with that, dude. From like the fucking, you're like outside, you up top these like massive set of stairs on this metal staircase, and that was like down at the bottom. Pizza's up to you, and just.
That was a legendary shot. That was sick.
Yeah, I love those early days of kendama freestyle where we didn't have IG yet, so you could actually pull up to a jam and do a brand new trick never seen before.
Yeah.
So that's what happened at Dama Fest. Nobody's seen the pizza toss. We hit that motherfucker. It was a project. We're like, we have this brand new trick we've been working on, and we're trying to figure out how to do it, because what's the Japanese guy with the glasses who was really good at
Kenta.
Yeah,
Sakamoto.
He was like,
okay, yes,
he was so good at tornadoes,
dude. Yeah,
and then he would. I remember this clip.
Yes,
he was like flowing like with a performer-sized kendama, and then he would like throw it, and then throw it.
Oh,
throw it
like a single.
And Matthias and I, we were like learning how to do that. We got super flowy, and we were like going to all these juggling conventions. We're like trying to get inspiration, just such a lot of Dama.
Yeah,
and we're like, eventually we just started pushing it. It was like, we're gonna go to Dama Fest. And it was actually Alex Smith. I met him. That was my first Dama travel in 2012.
Yeah,
at the European Juggling Convention in Poland.
Oh, okay, and that's when some of you guys came over?
It was Alex, Kristen. We had Shimadera-san, no Swedes. It's just Alex and Kristen from North America, and Shimadera-san, and what's the guy with Mukai-san. Yeah, and European homies. Yeah, like Chauffeur and some of those.
Chauffeur.
Shout outs. And I got my fourth down first tee with the Shimadera-san. I was practicing a lot to get that. And yeah, Alex invited me for Dama Fest. He hit me up. I was in India.
Okay.
And he's like, you should come. I was like, okay, I'll come. We got a new trick to show you. So that was a fun energy, just saving it.
And doing the pair, when you guys were both on stage, like he's tossing back and forth, like before that, kendama was just like you and the kendama. But then once you start adding people to it, and then that different style, this new trick, pizza tossing and stuff, like,
dude,
blew people's minds.
And that's that like you were saying that you're going to juggling festivals to get inspiration. Like jugglers are some of the best at that kind of shit, where they have multiple people involved and they're doing these very intricate throws back and forth.
Yeah.
And you watch them and you're like, what in the fuck are they doing? Like, like how are they passing these back and forth? You know, and it's the same kind of thing watching the pizza bounce. I remember the one year at Van Jam, we had the Renegade show, which is also a juggling thing. And I had the one game where I got Bonds, like, Bonds, you got to come up with me. Because I knew he had the pizza bounce, like, better than I did. So I was just like, we're going to play a little volleyball. And then I got 2 people to block arms and be the net. And we played pizza bounce volleyball. Oh, kind of back and forth. It was a little sketch. But it was a lot of fun.
Circus.
Yeah. And I think that's very important, to keep that playful aspect, to keep that fun, the like not taking it too seriously and being like, I have to grind this trick, otherwise I'm not going to be on top of the game, you know, and shit like that. And like, I mean, there's a place for all of it.
Yeah.
But you got to just remember why you started in the first place. Like, what really brought this into your life and what made it important to you. You know, and I think for all of us, maybe not everyone, but for most of us at least, would be the play aspect, the fun. Yeah, the like doing this, and just like every time you land something, you have this big shit-eating grin on your face. You're like, that's not shit. You're right.
I think it totally shows when you're like doing a demo and you try the hardest trick and you get it, when the people are like,
yeah.
but you do like an earth turn or a J-stick, and they're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because it's like more simplified, where
people can understand it.
People can understand.
Where the muggles can understand it.
Exactly. And like that's like, we were at that point when we first started. That was the cool shit. That was the hype. And then it turned into something different for each person. But that's where it all starts.
Yeah, I think both are so important, and yeah, I really appreciate the way that we're taking this conversation, and I think we all love like high-tech kendama play, but like the direction we're taking now is a bit more as a response to a direction, because I think our kendama should be skateboarding for the hands. It shouldn't be yo-yo.
Yeah.
And initially, when there was more than like a few people uploaded a few more videos, I saw Spacewalk on YouTube, and I was like, that's too much. Like, it's too much. I'm just gonna stay cubbing.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be able to relate. And yeah, my vision like for Krom and for kendama has kind of like switched throughout the years. So we've been having different slogans, kind of like helping out the vision. So in the beginning, it was like, make the best kendama in the world and keep it funky.
Yeah.
And then it was like, world champ, owned and endorsed. And then our new slogan is play life, which I really like.
That's cool. I didn't know. That's funny. I just said that.
Yeah. and I think play life has a few different meanings to it.
Oh, absolutely.
Go in different ways, but it's inspired by the quote by this Indian meditation guru called Sharji, and he had this quote, which is play as if working and work as if playing. And I really love that. It really, I think it's really beautiful. For me, like my vision now for kendama is to make it the world's biggest secondary sport. Meaning, I don't expect everybody to get as deep as we are. I appreciate it, like everybody goes deep.
Yeah.
But I think kendama can make the world better.
Absolutely.
And I think all the lessons we learn from kendama, just like the different synapses firing in the brain while playing kendama, all these different things, they're so important as a response to the way the society, the world is going with all this invasive technology. And for me to really feel like I'm doing an actual impact, I want to like get it out there. And that's why the vision isn't to make the biggest sport in the world, because I don't expect that it'll become like that. But I see kendama as a perfect secondary tool no matter what you're doing. Are you a young professional? This is like your condensed ping pong table at the office. Are you waiting for your dance lesson? Yeah, get off your phone, stand up, sesh a little bit. Like in any sense, we all know how we can apply kendama. And I don't see any game, toy, whatever, with a barrier of entry as low as with kendama.
Totally, yeah.
And I think as well as the acceleration rate of getting good, it's really easy to get good, like quickly if you spend the time.
Yeah, and I think that's why these tricks that convert into something digestible is a favor to the rest of humanity. Yeah, I think it's really important. Like Gloken, they started with the vision of making a bridge,
global kendama,
or between the kendama players in Japan and the rest of the world. But I think it's really important that we as a community make a bridge between our community and the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And we keep having that conversation through our performances that are understandable.
Yeah.
So do you think it's like going out there and being active compared to tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, I think going to schools, doing jams, doing performances is really important.
Absolutely.
And just being out there and don't be too selfish with your kendama. I mean, we all love to grind. We all love to hit harder tricks and challenge ourselves.
Totally.
Like the cycle, reach, repeat mentality. But I think a lot of people like love getting new people into kendama, and in order to do that, we need to make it digestible and not become yo-yo, where it's just like this very obscure little niche.
Yeah.
And that's also with Krom. You know, I love all these. You know, you mentioned the big tree, and I love like all the kendama brands. I love all the hand turn. I like, you know, I love all the different things. But I'm not really trying to be a niche within a niche. I want to make the world better. And I believe that kendama can make the world better. But I don't just want to make my own world better. I really want to like get out and share this.
Yeah. And that's a really good way to look at it, I think. It's just like looking at your impact on the world through your actions and through what you're building and whatnot, and like really being conscious of how it's going to affect people. And yeah, and I think you're right too. Like if you look at the kendama community, like I think it's a very diverse community in that like there's people from all aspects of life. Where like if you look at like skateboarding, you get a bunch of skate rat kids, you know, like a bunch of like kind of, I don't want to like put them in a box because it's not this way, but you know, it's a lot more of a type of person that does like skateboarding a lot more, you know, whereas because it's more of a physical investment, right?
Oh,
because
true.
When you're learning skateboarding, there's this learning curve where you're going to fuck yourself up.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not going to progress.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas kendama has that learning curve, but it doesn't have the physical effects as much. Yeah. Sure, you're going to get a black guy. You're going to fucking get a bloody lip, whatever. I mean, I knocked myself in the face yesterday and my lip's a little sore. But like, and that's part of it.
Knock a tooth out?
Yeah, no, I still got the tooth. but yeah, and I think that's a cool observation, just like along the lines of what we're talking about, you know? It's like, because it is something that could be like a primary, secondary sport. It's a weird way to say it, but
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
but I think that people know about.
Yes.
Not just like, what's that thing? Just be like, oh, those kids are playing kendama over there.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, like, yeah, I've played kendama, or like, yeah, I've only gotten the big cup. I'm not like, you know, this level or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And like non-skateboarders can know what do a kickflip means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And skateboarding is just a good example because it's like, it had similar beginnings, you know, it's like this weird little niche thing that like people are like, what the fuck are these people doing?
Yeah.
And then as it gains popularity, it like changes completely and becomes more technical.
Yeah.
And then there's more support worldwide. And then there's these big events and cash prizes and, you know, like look at it, like we're all fucking, none of us are from Japan. We're all in Japan. And if you live here, you'd probably be here regardless. But like, and I would like to think I would still be in Japan regardless, but like reality is I'm here for kendama.
Yep.
You know?
Right. And it's really cool how like that vision that you have of like spreading it, making other people know what kendama is, putting more eyes on it. Like you and Sweets have been working so hard trying to have other like people endorse almost, doing these awesome collabs with other people, other companies that could have a similar kind of vibe mindset that could encourage people to, hey, try this thing out. But you didn't know what it was. Maybe it was hard to get into, but hey, now we're connected to this thing that you do know. Now is your chance to kind of try it out, right? The recent Zoomies thing, I didn't even know what the hell Zoomies was. See, living here, like, I don't know. So
Yeah, me too.
yeah. But then shit works together, and then doing more collabs. Another, the Mishka?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
I had a dog named Mishka, so I think it's funny. But, Shinfo. So you've made so many kendamas. Let's hear the stories of the Deluxe changing into the future of big cups with the Slaydog. Let's start with the Deluxe, though. What was the mindset with the Deluxe? Why did you go different kinds of woods? A lot. Fat, chunky. You got base cup. Where's that rim? Not even there. What was the style? Because this one, you know, the Deluxe is not even there. The Deluxes stood out from the rest of the companies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you thought about like Kusa had their tribute the whole through the Sarado. What was the thought process with working? And I know you guys started with what, like a company in, where was it? Not China.
Vietnam. Yeah. Yeah. So, but the Deluxe was basically, when I started making my own brand, it wasn't just to make what was already, because then I'll just keep buying what was.
Yeah, already there.
Yeah, it's already there. So I had the vision to make the best kendama in the world and keep it funky. And in order to do that, I wanted to explore different wood types.
Yep.
And I love, all the Terra stuff. Always been a big fan.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, explore like the lamination techniques into like a larger scale.
Yep.
And get it out there. So we started like laminating, blowing a lot of wood together, and working with this partly Danish-owned wooden factory in Vietnam. They've never made a kendama before.
Yeah.
And it's a very simple thing to make, but making a proper kendama,
It's quite intricate, really, compared to most wood things.
it really is. There's some
Factories really struggle at.
Yeah, it's difficult, really difficult, and getting it good. I mean,
The quality.
it takes a lot of time. So yeah, we were working with these guys, and the idea with Deluxe, we just wanted to make cool kendama, so we just made like a lot of different ones. And just like kept like
The Dawn really stuck out to me. That was so
The
dope.
Dawn, that one was
Half and half, and then you had the black paint.
yeah, the stripes.
the Dawn. That was so good. I mean, we're just like cranking out designs.
Yeah.
We didn't care. Like we were just like kept blasting.
Oh, here's another one.
And they were full natties. Was there
Formats. Yeah. I mean, the paint just kind of sucked.
Yeah, those early Deluxe paints. And it was kind of like the early Switch paints, where you would play it and you'd play for like 20 minutes, and then you look down and there's paint chips all over.
It was not like chipping, like super slippery.
Okay.
So we just wanted to keep like to make something different, to like make the Deluxe, keep it more like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course we had the Deluxe team.
I was gonna put that up, the Deluxe team.
Yeah. Just like all the friends.
Yeah.
All the female friends.
Yep.
Just like
Yeah.
sending the Deluxe team.
Totally.
Yeah, keep it real.
And from that, you birthed Haley's and Kristen's idea of the all-girls kendama column.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because you guys started like the woman girls only video comp that Umi took. And then that just you stopped. Then I think Haley and Kristen were like,
Yeah.
what the hell? I guess we'll just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
That's good.
And they kept the torch going.
Yeah, I'm good at starting things. No, I'm not super good at like keeping things going, but I don't think I have to, because as a community, like then we start something, then they keep it going.
It's
also with EKC, we kind of started that and hosted it a couple times now. Gio is doing it, and we're talking about it. I'm like trying to support the best I can, but he's really good at operating it. And I love how it's also, I'm not trying to own, I'm not trying to be possessive. Like I love, co-creating.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. I forgot about that. But fun thing, like first time in Japan, I finished the Krom movie.
Okay, yeah.
2013. I was like staying at the Asakusa Smile.
Yeah.
Ah, the Asakusa Smile. Holy shit, that brings back some memory.
And I came to Japan straight from Vietnam after having a really intense week with Murphy's Law being very present. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And I think that really applies to production. So I was kind of pooped, and I came to Tokyo by myself in the middle of the night, and I didn't have any cash, so I couldn't go to the Asakusa Smile and check in. And I didn't know how to get cash. I was like trying to go to all these banks, and didn't work.
Yeah.
And then this homie, he was like trying to help me. I was trying to call my bank, didn't work. And then he ended up giving me 5,000 yen.
Whoa.
And I was like, here's the Deluxe.
Yeah.
And that was like $50 at that time.
Yeah.
Like quite a lot, so I could go to the Asakusa Smile. And I told Cloken, I want to learn as much as possible about Japanese kendama culture. I was so curious. And I went with the Yusuke Ito-san to go to his kendama class.
And that's epic, actually.
So epic. And I met with Akimoto-san, and this was pre-smartphone, so I had no service. Like, I spent an hour finding him at the station. Straight up. There's like a very different time.
Yeah, that's like so legendary too. Like, if you guys don't know who Yusuke Ito is, he's the first ever professional kendama player. in Japan, and he has been doing performances and stuff and like crazy tricks on stage since before we ever knew what a kendama was. Any of
Yes,
us
yeah.
kind of thing.
One year before I started playing kendama, he was in Denmark doing a performance for the Japanese embassy.
That's insane.
It's so insane, and he was so good. Or he is so good, Moshikame, that he plays like it's. He uses as a, what do you call it, like a, what's the English word for like a little drumstick, you know, those.
Oh yeah, like a drum.
Percussion. Yeah, he uses it as a percussion instrument. Kendama.
Yeah.
The way he's so good at like trializing and
Kind of like some Josh Grove shit.
yeah, just really he's been like working from Yusuke Ito's
Exactly.
legacy in this.
Picking up the torch.
And I went to Yusuke Ito's house, and he had more than 200 Mugens.
Yeah,
He had so many Mugens.
dude, he did have. He probably still does have so many. Dude, and that's where
This was the golden era of Mugen. Yeah, he had so many Mugens.
It's like
yeah.
a chest.
I went out for dinner with him in Tamotsu the first time I was in Japan. Or, sorry, it was the second time I was in Japan. And we were talking about Mugens, and I mentioned that I didn't have one. He goes, ha, 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 it's okay, present. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And then like a week later, we're in another city in Nara at Tamotsu's parents' house, and a package comes for me. And I'm like, what do you mean a package came for me? And it's a fucking yellow Mugen in package from Yusuke Ito.
Whoa.
Fucking legendary.
Yeah, he gave me a one Mugen, like seshed.
Oh.
Seshed. So we were just like seshing our one Mugens. Or maybe it was fresh. I got like a lot of Mugens in that first trip.
It used to be that if you came to Japan as a foreigner, you would leave with a Mugen. It used to, honestly. Like, that used to be.
It was such a flex to play Mug back then.
Yeah.
And also just smash it into the ground. Like, we just like play a Mug hard. Because I mean, most people like they play soft, but I love to always like get aggressive with kendama, like really get some, like you talked about, like really feel it. I think I've realized more recently, like I'm really emotional and really like getting into like that expressing yourself and like feeling yourself and like getting, you know, like all your energy into it, like putting all you have into it.
I feel the same way.
It's so much fun. And doing that with a Mug was a flex. I remember on Roots tour, I was like seshing the Mug hard.
Dude, yeah. And that kind of ties into, if any of you nerds listened to the last episode with Colin, we were talking about the early days of Kusa, where they had Mugens, but it was like the pro team got gold Mugens, because there was this before pro mods, right? So they all just got gold Mugs, and that was the flex. It was like, oh yeah, got the gold Mugen, you know, pro team shit, until all of a sudden Mugen was gone, and then it's like, we don't have any more Damas, what do we do? Fuck. Right.
Let's start making our own.
Yeah.
Okay. That was deep into the deluxe. There is, and we went into like all amazing territories. There was a mishap that happened. You know, right now you're in this new, maybe not new anymore for you. Your Krom headquarters. It's a nice big spot. Before you were like semi underground. You know, like B.5.
We've been right now. We don't have a HQ.
Oh, word?
We've been having 3 different HQs. So first we started like semi-underground.
Yeah.
We just needed a spot. So first, like we just had the box of kendamas like under our bed, and we were like, sometimes somebody would be traveling, you know, and then I would have them. Then it was just like around. And at some point it was at Phil's kitchen, and I also moved into that kitchen. And we had like more and more boxes of kendama. So I was like sleeping, like the kitchen had a little corner to it, and Copenhagen apartments are not huge. I mean, maybe not Japan small, but definitely not US huge.
Yeah.
So in between. And I was just sleeping there with more and more boxes of kendama around me. And eventually, and with Philip and his girlfriend in this small flat. Eventually, like, I had to get my own place, but Krom also needed its own place. So we just started walking around the neighborhood. And we talked to this lady, and she's like, yeah, I'm moving out. Like, you can take over this rent. And it was like this, really cool spot, but also kind of trashy.
Yeah.
Like, workplace. But it was fun. And then we got, like, a little bit nicer one. And we were like, okay, let's try and actually do retail and like make it nice, you know. Let's see if that's a thing. And we just figured out, okay, retail for kendama doesn't really work in Copenhagen. So we just moved out to a bigger spot, and we shared it with this woodworking, like some of my friends, they do like woodworking furniture design, and we figured that would be a cool synergy to be in. So they had like a full woodworking workshop.
Yeah.
And then we had to cut down a bit again. So we became less, and Rasmus, he also moved to Jutland. So now, like, the staff of Krom is very international.
Okay.
So we don't have a lot of team in Copenhagen. So it's just 2 of us, me and Fred, and he's part-time. Oh, and then Rasmus, he's in the other side of the country. Then I have Ulrik in France. I have Elias in Austria. Got Skags part-time over in Pittsburgh. Got Mons as well, Boulder. And then I have like 2 guys part-time in Italy and Spain.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like very spread out at this point. Yeah. And we might be starting a store in Rome.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
We
pretty
got Davide with a Davide connection right there. Yeah.
Okay. He's working for Krom now.
Nice.
Part-time, full-time, maybe. I don't really know. I mean, he's session. So he
has been on it, though.
He's been on the Dama grind, and he's really good at it. And it's kind of like a similar thing with that shop, just like working around there. Like he has some friend's mother who he's like. So yeah, we might be. I feel like
there's an option.
Yeah, and I mean, Copenhagen is sick, Dama is sick, but it's very homogeneous. It's a small country. Like the style is good, but it's very much the same style. So I think
trying to break out of that box a little bit.
Yeah, I think Krom is a little bit not very Danish in many ways. I mean, you guys may think it's Danish, but compared to Danish brands, it's very not Danish.
I see.
It's a different feel when you're there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So the story I wanted to ask about was in that one spot that was from what I saw is the first HQ, which was like that little
5 steps down.
The one where I was at.
Yeah. Where Rolf broke the front door. So you and Rolf.
I think I did.
Glad. There was also a mishap where some of the Deluxes got a little stinky. There was a sewage pipe leak break. Boxes on boxes of Deluxe. Literally shat upon.
This was tough. So Monday morning, I take my bike to work in the rain, and I get in, and nobody's there. Like Philip is not even there. I'm like, brother, get up. We gotta work.
Yeah.
He's not there. And then, like it was raining. Like we had like a flood storm, and that old shop we had didn't have like this security thing for the water.
Didn't have the drainage.
Yeah, it had bad drainage. So that whole thing, like we just had like the shipment on the Friday prior to that, so we didn't put it on pallets. We just had like these boxes in the little stock room on top of each other until we put it, properly just over the weekend. And it just kind of like sucked the bottom one, and it all just like tipped over. Yeah.
That's worst case.
And there was like, no insurance or nothing because we didn't store it properly. Yeah, and I was just like there by myself in that column to figure it out, and I was like, okay, Philip, you got to come to work now. This is a very Monday.
Very Monday.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, put your kendama boxes on a pallet on a few.
Yeah,
if you're in a basement.
Be careful in those basements. But that didn't stop you. You guys worked hard, cleaned them, dried them, sold them.
We used them for workshops and gave them away, and like did like mad discounts.
Yeah. So in the end, like it did suck, but at least you were still able to use it.
Yeah, we had a lot of friends who came out and helped like disinfect and all.
Yeah.
My God. Forgot. You remember like so many things. It's amazing. There was like a really Monday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that sounds like the most Monday of Mondays, man.
Yeah. Just like the bike ride was tough, I remember. In the rain.
I bet.
And then on top of that, you're like, fuck, I'm finally at the office, and you fucking dry off a little bit.
Yeah.
Open the door and just like sploosh. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I can't imagine the turmoil going on in your fucking head at that moment. That's. But here we are, and we're fucking amazing.
Yeah, it still continues. It does. I mean, I think in biology, like there's this thing called epigenetics where we're so much products of our environment, but since we're conscious beings, we can translate our environment. So, I mean, it is what you make of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you guys kept it rolling, the ball rolling, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Get the Thomas spin.
There's, yeah. And there's
spikes.
There was a time where you guys, I've noticed, of course, you and other Chromies, Philip, Mateus, you came to Japan multiple times. We were hanging out and stuff. You did that awesome tour when you released the Vikings. That was a super new type of kendama that, Terra had their LBBs, and this is just a little triple LVB or something.
It was quite a bit bigger.
It was a little bit bigger than a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit bigger.
Good performer size, but really a great concept of Viking. It's for the bigger hand. It's for the Danish
And
Vikings.
the best one ever was the fucking Cheesewood Viking.
The cheese.
That was the sickest Dama. I think to this day might be the sickest Dama I've ever fucking played.
The cheese burger
I'll never regret
with the wall
not buying a Dama.
patty.
Yeah, dude, it was so sick. It was like this wood just like, it could have been a block of cheese. That was like the way it felt. It was like when you hit like a stilt or a bird, it was literally like a fucking cushion. Like a... yeah, exactly that. It was
So much.
nice, dude. It was so nice.
Yeah, I know.
It was like styrofoam almost. Like,
Whoa.
Yeah,
sick.
that factory in Vietnam, we had like our own drying facility, so there's like a lot of local woods, you know. It's like, oh yeah, this dude just cut down a few trees to like make a new road. Here's like a obscure little piece of tree. Okay, let's just dry it in the thing and
Yeah, and
then try and see if it works for kendama, you know.
it's so sick.
Yeah, it was a very like sustainable factory. Like
Yeah.
they had like all kinds of stuff going on.
I love that.
And at that time, you guys released the walnut rubberwood tamas. Is that what started you off with rubberwoods?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
And now, making in Handui, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have access to the rubberwoods.
Yep.
Continue.
Exactly.
That's dope, because that's one thing that I remember like hearing about, and I think even still people will have that question, like when you guys released the rubberwoods with the Nihon series, people are like, wait, so what's the paint? Is it lol clear or rubber?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
because rubber wood, not rubber paint.
exactly.
rubber wood absorbs the log clear so well. Like it's the stickiest like tama we have is on the rubber wood. So
Because I had a lighter side.
because rubber wood is a little similar to cheese wood. So mushy, so it's a little softer. And I think as kendamas are getting really big, rubber wood is a good wood to keep the weight a little down.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, when they were this small, oak made sense, but when they're this big, I feel like rubber wood makes sense. Like, it's so much bigger.
I've always been a pretty big fan of heavy kendamas, but I definitely take their toll. Like even today, like I was just saying, like, my wrist is a little bit sore from I've been playing this heavy Purple Heart Kocho for a few days now, and like I have a Vero wood hand turn that I made in my bag.
Sweet.
That
I got to try that one.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we'll play later. I'm pretty sure it's like 120 grams, like just the.
I love heavy. I love heavy kendamas.
And like there is something to be said about, you know, one of those where you slap a lunar on that thing and it's like you're sitting down. It's like a bam. You know, it's like, or not even sitting down. It's like Bam Bam Bigelow doing a butt drop in like the 90s of WWF. You know what I mean? Like right on your face, just bam. It feels so crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think it's also important to keep that, like, especially with the modern play, you know, like the multiple flips. That's probably a good reason why I'm not so into the triples and quadruples and shit like that, is because I'm always playing these heavy woods. You know, it's like takes a lot more effort to get that thing spinning.
Totally.
And never mind stopping it, right?
Yeah.
So like,
And I feel like for your very dynamic and aggressive style, the heavy one is good. I mean, I used to play a lot of heavy kendamas and really like them. And I think our styles are very different, but we have some coherency and like the more aggressive and like fucking go in. But yeah, you know, like, for me, it's always been not about the tricks you do, but how you do them. And if you do like a soft dance fight, rather just like go for it and miss it.
Yeah.
dude, yeah.
Because then that one time you hit it, it's going to be legendary. And it feels good on the heavy ones. But I feel like I love the diversity in kendamas. And then having played a more heavy, then coming to a rubber wood and just like the birds just like sitting there and you're just chilling. And it's so much fun.
And that's what makes it cool too, is like these different wood types, different paint types, different shapes, all that stuff kind of adds different attributes and like kind of helps curb your play style into different zones, you know?
Yes.
So like when I picked up one of those cheesewood damas, you know, it was like fucking just stall central, you know? It was like, I don't think I ever did a big cup on one of those. It was just fucking bird.
Yeah, so you
You know? Like, yeah. So yeah, it's very cool to like see that, like the progression from where we started with like nothing but beech woods, or like, you know, the odd sakura, or the odd like, you know, like Yamagata Kobo has been doing a lot for many years, different woods and stuff like that, but we didn't get to see much of that until we started coming to Japan and going to their little museum and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah.
So like in the beginning, all we ever had was beech woods and maybe the odd maple, which didn't come till later.
Right.
So now it's cool that we can have all these options, and we're fucking spoiled in a way. All you nerds who are just starting out, you have no idea. the shit. It's like, I used to fucking walk to school in my grandpa's PJs, fucking uphill both ways and 7 feet of snow, fucking that kind of shit.
But I mean, in a lot of ways, like, also it's easy. Like, a lot of hard work has been put into making kendamas what they are today.
Absolutely.
A lot of hard work, and of course you don't see that when you start, but it's easy to like start a kendama brand and make a good kendama. Like, we had to put a lot of work into making them better because for starters, we didn't know exactly what we were going to do, but we just wanted to challenge the status quo and keep doing that.
Yeah.
And I think the evolution of kendama, the evolution of kendama tricks has really been fast paced. But I think at this point, it's also like, okay, we don't really need that much bigger cans. It's like,
Yes.
we've been it's interesting to see what's going to come. I'm excited to see what's the next kind of thing. And now,
Next
like,
big evolution.
better paints, bigger cans, all these little kind of like things to make them special. Where now it's kind of like we come up with all these mimicky almost kind of things.
Yeah. It's funny, the catalyst.
Yeah.
Like, take us down this road, right?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
Krom made a big one, I think, for the whole community by releasing the Slaydog.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I've heard that was the ticket almost to persuade Bonds to join the team, sending him a prototype to see, like, this is what we got. This is what's coming in our future.
I remember him telling me that and being like, he said he looked at it and he said, if this is what it's going to be like, then I'm in. Or something like that.
And then off of that, as where the other companies were looking at that being like, oh, at the beginning, as most new things happen, people are standoffish. But then as it turns into the norm after a while, and that's definitely what happened with these big cups. And I'm pretty sure it's because of the Slaydog. So what's the story behind the Slaydog?
Well, the design on the Dama, like, I've designed kendamas that took me a long time. The design on the Dama took me like 2 minutes. So we had this scope from the autumn. That was like the first kendama with that scope.
Okay, yeah, like scope is a nice thing.
The 70-30 scope. Like, that wasn't done before. Now it's like everybody.
Yeah. Before there was just the stripe.
And then
That's the way to track.
I wanted like the top scope as well. So I added that. That became the neon because it had like the white around the hole and then the red
in the
top. So it had like the Nippon flag.
Yep.
And that was new, like never seen before. And I think people don't know, but it was like a new thing. Now it's like people just do it. And then of course they can. Like, we wanted to make it bigger.
Yeah.
And we had some experience making it bigger from the Viking, but that was like more a response to the performer size. So Viking was smaller than performer size. So we were thinking like the same thought of making it to these hands and not the Japanese hands in the 1970s, which is basically what the store is based off.
Right.
And keeping it still competition size.
Okay.
So that was kind of like the brief, and we made it bigger. That's how it started.
Did you like measure out the box? This was pre-box.
This was pre-box. I remember we had a meeting with Tamatsu and Jeremy from Kendama USA and some other, maybe probably Sweets was there and maybe Nobu. We were like at a cafe in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And it was like a thing. It was like, okay, so what's up with this? What? Like, because we kind of like broke the rules without really having rules. So it's kind of like, okay, so what are we going to do with the rules?
It was the same thing like when Sour Mash started making sticky tamas.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we never thought you would do this. Like, what the fuck? That's not okay. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And then slowly everybody kind of starts to just accept it. And it's like, well, oh, actually, this is better.
And now everybody does it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of like one of those situations where it's always tough being a pioneer, we're like, but of course, I wouldn't say tough, but in this case, but it's like, people had to get used to it.
Totally.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Slaydog. We made it in ash and we made it in maple.
And you guys added those micro lines.
Yeah.
For helping.
Yeah.
And
those were cool. Yeah. Those were cool, and that's fun to see also how like Theo, he just showed me his new GT Jack GT collab, whatever, and that it's got the same small buttons. Yeah. And it's fun to see, how those has just been like kept on. And that's sometimes like
Yeah.
I think as people like our worst and best sides, it's two sides of like the same coin. You flip the coin. We live in a polarized world, and I'm like good at starting things. But sometimes I forget, right? So sometimes you forget about these cool things, and then other people can like hedge onto it, and I'm like, oh, we should probably do it again. It's flowing.
Yeah. I mean, Iwata-san even did a version. He added the groove, I think it was called, where he had some wavy lines right on that area. Yeah.
I mean, my pro model too. Like I did that intentionally around like the cup edges. You have to have that bit of texture to help with bird and stuff like that, or like also on the base cup.
Yes.
You know, and because I think probably because of that, honestly, I wouldn't have thought about that until just now. That's probably what influenced me to do that. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
It is.
So
it is.
We're talking about like kendama sizes and the box and stuff like that. What do you think going forward? Do you think the box has now become arbitrary?
The funny thing about the box is that it doesn't say anything about tama sizes.
It does say something about bevel size.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what
But
in coin it can.
yeah, it's a 10 yen coin. I don't know the actual.
It's like 23 millimeters.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we did like the, I think 8-year birthday, we just made the bevel too big, not to fit.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that one. Yeah.
That was when I was living in Japan and I was with Tomotsu, and then when they saw it and they were like, the ice is so big. I remember Tomotsu's face. Yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah.
I think the original homegrowns from Sweets also had a pretty big bevel.
Yes. I think you're right,
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then now we have like, you know, the Krom coin where everybody's just like making the thing fucking making it right out.
Yeah. And now people just use like the concrete instead.
Yeah.
Straight into
Exactly. I love
so much more efficient.
it's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like in my opinion anyway, with the box thing, it was like, you know, we're at a point now where like we're saying like with different types of tricks are easier or harder based on what type of kendama you're using, whether it be shape, wood type, all that kind of stuff. So having a box like doesn't really make sense at this point, because if you go bigger than the box, you're going to help yourself do stall tricks, do things, you know, like that, but you're going to hinder yourself in flips and like that kind of world. So like you're kind of, we're at like a balance point where like we know what we need.
Yeah.
We don't, it's the same thing with like string length. There used to be pretty strict with string length, you know, like a prime example is like in that grip contest when Chris Bosch won and people were like, his string is too long, blah, blah, blah. So he just fucking refilmed the whole thing and every time was like 2 fingers, bitch. Like,
And that was JKA.
exactly.
Like
Influence.
39 to 42 centimeters. That was the rule.
Yeah.
But they skipped that back when JKA was still like the thing. They even
Okay. Yeah. Looking right.
I think 39 to 41. It was like
Yeah.
1 to 2 fingers.
For 1 to 2 fingers. Yeah. Depending on.
But I was just thinking about Chris Bosch in that video because it kind of makes me want to say that, I mean, the tool is like less than 5%.
Yeah.
It has the per total operating control.
Yep.
And I think it's such a big flex to do that. I'd love to see some more of that.
Dude, that was one of the biggest flexes in kendama.
And he's still so good.
Yeah.
Amazing. Can't fuck with
He pulled up to the Seattle thing recently and wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's still like, he grinds like a beast. Like sometimes I'm grinding, but a lot of the time, you know, at the jam, I just want to like keep people
Yep.
have fun.
And it's hard to keep that balance because
He grinds. Bosch, he grinds. I have a lot of respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get Snapchats from him once in a while. He's like at work and he'd be like, okay, one try at the quad. You know, and like probably a quarter, half the time, the kind of thing, he hits the quad first try and he's like, oh, hell yeah. And then he goes back to work and I'm like, what the fuck, Bosch? Just fucking up quickly, like Bosch isn't looking, quick fucking quad lighthouse flip, you know, like what? That just goes to show, you know?
Yeah.
Very raw.
The player.
Yeah.
And that's why this like small kendama I think is so much fun because
Dude, yeah.
it brings back that JK feeling a little bit.
Challenge.
Yeah.
And Krom has always, I feel like, been at the forefront of the mini game. The original Krom minis with the rubber. I remember me and Keith Matsumura were at the Krom shop in 2014 there, and we were sessioning the minis really hard. We had like a couple games of Ken going, and we were going really hard. And Philip came out and he threw like 8 of them at us. Yeah, this little guy. And he threw like 8 of them at us. He's like, you guys are now the Krom mini team. But or something like that. I just threw them all at us. It was like, hell yeah. And I've always loved these things. This has been one of the most fun kendamas, especially as a mini.
Yeah.
You know, and like I can't think of anyone else that makes minis really that are like as playable.
The best thing I think I remember with this one was like the hole size compared to the spike. It was just, it's perfect. Like,
Yeah.
It was a smaller spike, a little bigger on the hole, so it was playable.
Oh, you know what? Actually, there is the one homie. He's newer in the game. But Perspective Kendama is his thing.
Yeah, it's Christian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Spain, I believe.
He's the homie. Yeah.
And he hand makes all these minis.
Yeah.
And they're so dope.
Yeah,
And
so dope.
I played his that he
chest shape.
Yeah, in the chest shape. Exactly, yeah. And yeah, so shout out Christian.
Yeah, that's respected Genau shout out.
Hell yeah.
Tiny.
Yeah.
Keeping it fun. A little like, you know, adding the, just the again, the playability of versus fun factor.
Yeah.
And what you need, if like when you were saying like bigger sizes and stuff, people like longer strings, shorter strings, different styles of how you want to play can really benefit or be hurtful for what your style is to what kind of kendama you have. Looking at like skateboards, there's a lot of variations of sizes that you can get, and you can get a big ass wide deck, you can get a thin one, depending on what you prefer. So like, but everything's still okay for competition, right? So it doesn't matter. You want tight truck, loose trucks, whatever. It's all doable.
Or even if you want to look at skateboarding as a whole, you know, like you include longboarding and like downhill racing and stuff like that too. You know, like it's a completely different tool, even though it's the same thing, you know, but you're using it for a different purpose.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were to take a longboard and try and do a kickflip, then, you know, good luck.
Yeah.
Sure, you can with certain ones, but like,
Right.
but like, yeah, and it's the same thing. And I've always loved that skateboarding is such a great example of like what kendama is kind of becoming and always has been, you know, like we were saying before, it like has similar origins and like the same kind of like side story kind of thing where it's like not in the mainstream, but it's like slowly peeking in, and then people are just like, yo, what the fuck, this is so cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And then there's like a little explosion and shit.
Right.
And me being like someone who has skated my whole life, you know, it's like, it's really cool to see that. And it like, maybe that's part of why I like it so much, and part of why kendama and skateboarding are two things that are like so dear to me, you know? And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
But
No, there's definitely a lot of connections. Let's hook it back over to Krom company. Of course, you know, you are the main man, head owner, CEO. I remember, you know, back with Philip when you guys were here hanging out early 2014, 15. From my understanding, like Phil was like the business dude and you were like the art director and stuff and pushing forward. But now full on, well, not just you explained you have a huge team all over the world now. But with all of that, you continue to win awards over in your home country, Denmark, the Gazelle Awards. What is this? Because once a year, you're like, hey, we got this award again, like small business award.
Yeah. Well, so now I'm the CEO, and then of course, you know, running it with the team, and I own the company solely at this point, since 2018, and well, the Gazelle, we got 5, and it's basically a way that our financial times, they celebrate small and medium enterprises, and they is a growth factor, so you have to be a certain size and they'll want to grow a certain percentage year over year, and then you get this award.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've gotten 5 of those, which is really cool.
Nice, showing your progression that you're actually making change.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. We didn't get one this year. But I mean, it's a lot. Like, not a lot of companies, they last more than a couple of years. Not a lot of companies get one, but we got 5 in a row. I think that's really cool. And I mean, I grew up not so much like on the business side, and I think it's never really been my motivation. But it's more like a hygiene factor. Like at this point, like if you want to have a big, nice community, like that needs to be funded. And that needs to be funded somehow, and we sell kendamas to make a profit. And I think there's other ways to do it, which are cool. I love, you know, how kendama can also be taught, and you can like do that direction, do like the whole school system thing, and do a foundation. I think that's really rad as well. And I think at this day and age in kendama, wish to see more of that in the community, seeing, okay, we can actually spend more time doing this and monetize somehow, but not making more product. I mean, I think it's really cool to see all the different brands, but I think back when we started a brand, we started out of necessity. Like, we needed some cool kendamas. We can get a blue one and a solid red one, and they were slippery and small.
Right. The accessibility at that time.
And you couldn't get them anywhere. Now it's just like a few clicks away from everybody, and you can get like a huge assortment. And I think kendama can do so much good in the world. So, I mean, if I was speaking to my own 17 or 18-year-old self at this point, I would encourage myself with the landscape of where kendama is not to make another product, because we have like a surplus of product.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point, having like a group of kids do like, okay, we want to make the world better. We want to make the world better through kendama. Let's make a project for this. We want to like go out to all the schools in the country. We want to like make this part of the curriculum. We want to like make something huge in that direction, like, and then get some like official funding, or there's so many ways to work with kendama that haven't been explored, and we all kind of now like trying to sell kendamas into this small market. And I think it's very natural, but I think as a community, if I was starting with kendama and really wanted to do more and spend my time doing it, there's so many more venues to do it than making a physical product. And that's something I think should be explored. And I'll just like, it's not something I've been thinking about, and I'm just intuitively like fleshing this out right now. But I think that would be really cool to see, and something I'd love to support.
Totally. And there is some of it.
There is some.
Like Josh with his...
Exactly. And I love that.
Even like looking back, like, Tomotsu used to do stuff like that.
Exactly.
Like backpacking around Japan with a bunch of kendamas. And going to schools and giving them away and stuff like that.
And I think there's just so many ways that are needed for us to grow as a community. And I'm just kind of like, I just want to plant the seed that there's other ways to do it than making more product.
Absolutely.
And because if you're like passionate about kendama, I'm sure there's a company who wants to support you, and you can get the product, you can sell the product. Like, I mean, there's so much. No, like, of course I love to do that, but I don't, like, all brands love to do that.
Yeah.
We want to like support.
And that's like the easiest way to do it, right? Create product, and we see other people doing it, and everyone has their own idea of like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to put a fucking eyeball? Wouldn't it be cool to do a Krom?
Yeah.
So everyone can like do that, as well as like how awesome Hondui's gotten at creating kendamas. Like, there's still, discrepancies could be with quality and stuff.
Totally.
But their paint game, like being able to do all these different designs that different companies are asking them to do and keeping up with it, I think it's pretty awesome. And so if anyone has like the contact to Hondui, which I think if you just go on their website, you can like hit them up and figure out to create batch of kendamas. You have to wait in line. But it's really cool that, kendamas can be made. Everyone can get into it. But the different side of it, I totally understand what you're saying. The different avenues of showing kendama, or just increasing the love. Or conversation of cup and ball.
I think there's just more than one avenue to it. And I think that's something we should explore more as a community.
Yeah, whether it be like the first bike challenge kind of stuff, or like you were saying, going into like schools, because kids are like, obviously the future of all of us, like, unfortunately humans fucking die. So we have to influence the younger generation in order to, like, to teach them and to like keep all of this shit going and keep it alive, right? And it's just important to like teach, I think, the right thing, like, as someone who like has a passion and or like knowledge or any of that thing, I believe that like there's a certain responsibility with that to like share that, and not to be forceful with it, but like people who are open to things like that are going to receive it,
Also, speaking in terms of skateboarding as kind of like what we're looking up to, I mean, there are so many like skateboarding projects. Let's build skateboard parks in Afghanistan.
Exactly.
Let's like do all these different kind of projects where there's all these passionate souls who want to do something, and they get so much support from different avenues and make a way through life doing that. And I think there's just so much unexplored territory in terms of kendama.
Totally.
And I mean, I love creating products, so I understand. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's more like, this is my call to be a bit more creative, open-minded, and see, okay, what other avenues can we explore to go full or part down?
What else can you offer your community?
And how can we work together as a community?
Right.
Yeah, even more, having like more different and more diversity in our specialities.
I like that you brought up the skate parks in Afghanistan thing, because that's something that I'm a very big advocate of. Obviously, just traveling in general, but like I'm someone who's lucky enough that I get to travel around a lot, and I get to experience a lot of different cultures and stuff. And obviously I always have a kendama or 30 with me, you know, so like I get to meet these people and like show them kendama, and most of the time I'll have a couple that I'm willing to part with, you know, and bring them with these and like leave them with these people. So I don't have like, you know, I haven't been everywhere, but like I've left kendamas in many different countries, you know, in Vietnam and Egypt and like in India, lots of these places where like they're not going to be able to access them as easily. And even if they are able to access them, they don't know it because they're probably an impoverished country, you know, or like they don't have the means to afford something like that, you know, even if it is a cheap like $20 kendama,
Right.
$20 to them is like a week's wage or something, you know, and it's like, so it's important to keep that in mind also. It's like, it's not just, you know, America, it's not just Europe, it's like, it's the entire world, it's all of humanity, right? And then that's kind of what we're getting at. And I think that's one, I mean, that's, I guess I'm looking at my own perspective. That's like my way of doing it and what I can offer.
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting perspective, also seeing how fast food and technology all of a sudden becomes really invasive in these countries where the middle class all of a sudden gets more in like India and China and these like very, you know, fast moving nations. And I think overall, like all different countries have so much rich culture that is being diluted as we're just kind of getting very fidget minded through all the technology.
Totally.
And I think we can all connect to kendama from each our way, and also having like the awareness of how kendama is not Japanese. Kendama is actually partly Japanese, but came from all these different cultures. And that's another thing we could get into. But back to this point, I think we can just like really influence, like with our privilege of being able to play kendama, have a surplus of kendamas, being able to travel, we can really influence a lot of how these nations are going to develop in the direction. Because if you're, you know, in India, you just want to be like in the United States, or like there's so many like countries looking up to, but you know, we are, you know, all culture. Like what we do is culture. And I think we have a lot of different positive ways we can influence the world with kendamas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like going back to like, you know, there's a lot of different ways to play kendama, a lot of different ways to approach it. And I think that's an important part of it too, right? Is like, you know, it can help old people keep their dexterity and keep like, you know, your muscles strong and stuff as you age and your body starts to deteriorate. It can be something for like kids with like ADHD or something that can't focus on anything. You give them a goal, you give them something physical to hold and to work towards. You know, it can be a meditation for people who struggle to find peace in their mind. You know, it can take your mind away from all your thoughts and just put your mind into this cup. Right? And things like that. So there's a lot of different ways that kendama be used as a tool. Or like, you know, it can be used like to open doors, you know, like you use this to meet people. Like for like in my case, like I was saying, like I walk around the world with a kendama around my neck and people approach me because of it.
Right.
And without that, there's a million interactions I've had that I would never have happened if I didn't have a kendama.
Literally.
And yeah, and it's crazy. I'm nothing but thankful for that, you know, and like what kendama has given me. So I think, yeah, right. It's important to like give back as much as you can, you know. It's like for every little bit of joy that I've felt, I would love to like threefold at least give that back to people, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like the more you give, the more you get to give.
Yeah.
So that
kendama love, dude.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like sharing the kendama love, that's something we all agree on. That's kind of like one of our slogans in the community. And
absolutely.
I think we have a lot of unexplored venues, and seeing that next generation of kids making their project something new, like I know it's gonna happen and I'm excited for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So talking about things that we're excited for right now, when we're recording this, you know, we're a few days away from Catch and Flow. You're gonna be a judge. What are your thoughts right now? Catch and Flow back in real life. Young Yas coming into the picture, probably dropping a pro mod. By the time this video goes out, it's probably gonna be out. So something that I've been keeping my eyes on and just thinking every time you guys drop a collab, I'm like, doesn't Yas supposed to have mods sometime? So a lot of stuff happening. What's your mindset for this Catch and Flow?
Yeah, so I'm extremely excited to be back in the mother country and playing kendama and seeing kendama in person as a judge. So not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of online.
Yep. I mean,
Nobu, he asked me, should we do online this year?
Yeah.
And I said,
for this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
We talked about it a while ago. And I said, no. And he said, should we do part online? And I said, no, online sucks. And he was like, I agree. And it's not the biggest catch in terms of foreign players. But for me, catch has never been about quantity. It's a quality competition. It's my favorite competition. And there is no other kendama competition that gives me the goosebumps like catch.
It's true.
It's the heart of kendama as I see it. In my world, kendama is freestyle kendama. I love KFC. I'm in awe of it being possible. It's not my personal style. Like I think I did maybe like a kind of 13th one, like in one of the early ones.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I did some wrong tricks and like I'm not like free floating mind. And I love it, but I mean catch is just like I love catch. It flows so much.
Yeah, and
like a lot of people are like, oh, aren't you biased as a judge? And I mean, of course, I'd love to see one of my team players win if they deserve it. I'm so happy that we're 5 judges. And I mean, if I would be judging based on like that, I would lose my reputation, and that's not worth it.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the easy answer, but I'm super excited, and I love how Nope he's being so less fair and still pulling it off. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
I think that's goals.
Right. Yeah. He's definitely been, even in Japan, like continuing to do events and, like taking the mask off and just be like, you got to keep the ball rolling because we've been stopped for so long. It's become too stale.
Totally.
So super excited for this new venue. Have you checked it out yet?
Tia showed me.
Yeah, I saw.
It looks pretty epic, actually.
Yeah, it looks very like
just like green club.
Yeah.
The one thing with every catch and float, this is always an issue, and I fully expect this to be the case, is that usually it's in a bar in Tokyo.
Yep.
Dark lighting.
Yep.
No back room to practice.
No.
So you go up there with zero practice. You're not warmed up. You
can't even go outside. No hallways.
Yeah. Well, you can go outside, but it's probably cold, and because there's so many of us, they don't want us crowding the streets.
Yeah.
Because there's still, we have our big event, it's our big day, but for the rest of Tokyo, life still goes on. So I need to be passing through and making their deliveries and yada yada. So us being in the way of that is not an option. So they have a big responsibility of themselves to keep us out of everybody else's hair, right? Because we all know kendama players we get lost on planet kendama a little bit, and we start, moving over here, and the next thing you know, there's fucking 30 of us standing in the middle of the road, and we're all like, yeah, we're just like playing this game real quick, like, don't worry, we'll be out of here in like a minute, and then it's like 4 hours later, we're like, yeah, we're just like one more this game, one more try. Yeah, right. And kendama players are pretty fucking bad for that.
Yeah.
And so it's something that's like very interesting, I think, to see, and I'm excited either way, honestly. Like I said, that's the way it's always been.
I mean, the first one was good though. We were like at that station.
That's true. The first one was not
outside.
Yeah, like half. Half.
Yeah, it wasn't the same.
It was really good.
It wasn't the same event then. Now it's become more of a club vibe. It's like the more.
I like that one too. But I think the first venue was actually pretty good. I mean, maybe next year we should bring that back.
I really liked the round stage too that just said catch and flow on the bottom.
Round stage.
It fucked with my eyes.
I remember that was the one thing I looked down and I'm just like, whoa.
I love that stage. I was like, I feel like I was in a video game, or like I was like, wow, this is like a bouncy thing.
Yeah, totally.
This thing gives me energy.
I think the one cool thing about it was eyes were on you from every because it was round. The audience almost wrapped around the whole stage. So it was really cool to especially I'm sure you as the performer, walking onto that stage, knowing like, hey, I could fucking walk over here.
I love and I was kind of small too, which was fun. Yeah. Like with my style, like jumping over like the string and stuff, and it was like it was not that big. And I remember, I feel like maybe I hit,
but not too small.
Almost like one of the players. I was like,
Yumi. Yeah. I'm doing it.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
I got a clip of it in the Krom.
Yeah. And I think that was kind of, fun that it was so like
but still intimate.
Yeah, totally. Yes, I like that.
And one big thing about that too that I believe the other venues have really suffered otherwise is that the judges were right front and center.
Yes.
And yet there was still places for the people to look around the judges and still be up at the front, right?
Yeah. We should talk to Nobu about this. I mean, we should talk to the players and see maybe we should bring it back. Was it Ginza?
No, that was in Shinjuku.
It was Shinjuku. Yeah.
Shinjuku.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
Because, like, do you guys remember when Jake Fisher was last at Catch and Flow, and he was going, and he had his back to the crowd?
Yes,
because he was facing the judges, and he was trying to get his score.
And no was telling
It was Max Ida.
Oh yeah,
Because it was the preliminaries. It wasn't
the prelims.
Yeah,
Okay.
Max was like, Jake, please,
For the
please
camera.
face the crowd,
Yeah,
the crowd.
the crowd.
And Jake's like, shut the fuck up, don't tell me how to do this. I'm in mid-run, dude, like,
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
And, like, they're both in the right here,
Yeah.
and Jake's trying to focus on his run, because you only get one shot at this.
Right. And I want to make sure the judges see everything
Exactly.
they do.
But at the same time, we are there to put on a show. That's the whole point, right? So, like, they're making us choose by having a weird setup like that where the judges are off to the side. And then, like, that being said, too, like, the first judge is close. Second judge has to look over the judge, and then there's 5 further. Like the like being a judge must come with a neck massage at the end, right? Otherwise, you're going to be dipping home.
I brought my massage gun.
Oh, there you go. Like, I might take you up on that.
So we'll see where the judges sit, because this has been a continuous kind of from the problem issue where we think like it could be better, but then I feel like Nobu looks at it as a performer side as well as with his background of being MC for many BMX competitions. I would hope that he takes some extra time to figure out like, okay, cameras should go here and judges should go here, so they can get the best viewpoint.
From what I saw, it looked like they had a judge table in front of the stage.
So I usually look high too.
Yeah, I do believe that they have it set up. Like, from what I saw, it was just a quick video, and I didn't really get a good look at it. But
second year was like that. Second year,
yeah, they had the couch.
huge venue.
They had the couch. Yeah, that was the one that was at
2015. Yeah.
No, that was O East,
Yeah, that was when we hit that huge.
which is across the street.
Wow, I did like more than 10 interviews that day.
Yeah, that was great.
There was a lot of media
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
First thing
That was the venue like right next to it. It was a bit smaller, and that was when it was like thin and long.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Dave Mateo was screaming from the top. He's like, "It's called catch and flow, not stop and stall." Getting in it.
Nah, that was when Dave did the 11 or better J-stick outside that big big house that we were all staying in, and me and you, Thorkild, shared a room.
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier.
We were bunking.
And we were bunking together, but you were getting interviewed by that TV crew was following you around. I remember being really weirded out because I went in there at one point and you were meditating. You had your little sesh going on, and they were fucking just sitting there filming you meditating, and I was like, God, leave the guy alone. Let him fucking meditate. I mean, I know you're doing a show here, but come on. Have a little fucking respect for the man, give him his fucking personal space.
I remember I was the first champion. Is he gonna do it again?
Exactly.
And they're following me all day long. Even from when I woke up, they were there in my face. And
And mine too, because we're bunking.
Yeah, all day. And they were there co-interviewing every single interview. It was intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got 4th.
Yeah.
I remember, which was fair. Would have done better, probably not without them. Maybe a little bit.
And maybe.
it was definitely disturbing, having to do 10 while competing.
Yeah.
And we were also probably running our booth or some shit at the same time.
Yeah, there's always a lot going on. Not to mention interacting with people in the crowd. It's kind of like at KWC, less so, but it's pretty hard as one of the people that are always on stage to just walk through the venue. Even if you're just trying to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You end up getting stopped by 30 people.
Yes.
Because they're all just you don't get to see these people ever, and they're just oh hey, and you're oh hey, fuck. We're they almost need a robe and a mask or something, one of those Harry Potter invisibility cloaks to fucking get out of there. So it's
At the green room, right? VIP
exactly
area.
Yeah.
Or the players.
Or we could warm up.
Going up to warm up and shit. So we'll see what it's like. The venue does look bigger. I haven't seen it personally, so I'm not sure if there's any sort of green room like that. But
Time will tell.
Yeah. We'll see when that happens.
I know I'm excited.
I'm excited to get surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready. I don't expect anything.
Yeah.
Really. I'm
There's always a few really, really wild things that happen.
I'm really open, and I'm ready to make a party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The classic catch and flow after party.
Yeah, but I also during, and it's a piping. And having that party, but of course, after party, oh my god, love it.
Dude, we've hit Club Asia every year since then. I'm pretty sure.
Often, yeah. And I feel like we always start there, maybe go to Harlem,
or vice versa, or whenever, and yeah.
Oh, they're right
Where? Catch and motherfucking flow. And I don't know for sure if there's going to be a live stream or anything. And by the time you guys are hearing this, it's going to be over.
Yeah, I talked to Nobu. I was like, can we live stream on Krom? He was like, yeah, go for it, because we don't have anything planned. So my plan is like live stream the finals.
That's a good plan.
That's the big thing.
Because I think live streaming the prelims is just going to be like, it's too long.
Have like 13 phones ready.
Yeah, that's the thing. So just to kind of like, because we don't have a setup.
You're going to be busy judging anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'll try and, but I mean, maybe one of the guys from the team don't make it to the finals. We'll take in the flow. Some homie can help. Just bring a power bank.
Yeah. But
we gotta fly Cody Grizz and Matt Sweets out here to do a whole Twitch stream.
Oh yeah,
that would be what's up. But
just fucking drinking energy drinks in the back the whole time. Fuel. Fuck. There's one thing that you mentioned that I was like, oh, I wanted to touch upon that. Totally forgot about it. Let's hook over to. Oh, that's what it was. Yes.
Good.
Meditation. You getting into a lot of that. You being a part of a mindfulness event. Heartfulness. To speak upon that. And it seems like you've gone really like deep into this different way of, thinking. I've listened to this podcast, like when the world hits shit and a lot of people all over the world are going like losing their jobs, depression and shit. Like, and there's this podcast that came out, Mystical Cynical, for anyone who's in like such a dope podcast. These two dudes, one is the mystic, like was on like a Skid Row, homeless, almost OD'd and shit. Family like abandoned him. And then he found meditation, went to India, deep into it, learned so much, came back and has this full sense of like energy and understanding of that shit. And then you have the other dude who is the cynical dude who always looks at us like, yeah, that's interesting, but isn't it just coincidence? And it's a really great talk, and it really opened my eyes to like, maybe we should try like meditation. Well, let's see what this is all about. But it's always like this kind of thing where you hear about it and it's like, wait, you just go, oh, like what is it exactly? So how did this catch on with you, and why did you go or make it a focal point for your life?
My first encounter with meditation, I was a kid, and my dad, he was meditating in the garden, and I was really into it. I don't know, maybe I was like 8 years old, 10 years old. I was like, Dad, teach me. And he was like, nah, I can't. I don't really know a lot about it. I was like, they taught me a little bit in youth school, but not enough to teach everyone else. And then I always just been kind of into those kind of like meditation kind of things, without like having a practice as a kid. And then I met Matthias through skateboarding.
Okay.
We used to skate together. And then we would also talk about, I was 13, he was 15. And he would talk about how his aunt and uncle, they were like super deep on meditation. And they used to live in the ashram, which is a meditation center where you can live. And then at that point, you had to be 18 to start. So we started this type of meditation when I turned 18.
Oh, okay, wow.
We started together. And it's called heartfulness meditation, and it's basically a heart-based meditation. And I remember probably the year before starting, I was thinking, because I started partying kind of early. I was doing like all the fun stuff, like I was like partying, throwing parties, DJing, painting graffiti, riding like my BMX, skateboarding, doing like a lot of fun stuff. But I was like, okay, is this all there is to life, Like, I feel like there should be something more. So I was kind of like thirsty for like something like more deep experiences.
Yeah.
Without really knowing what I was. And I grew up in an atheist family, so it's not like anything against religion, just haven't been any religion. Maybe a little bit against like how religion brings people separate, like, so, yeah. But it's like not active, just like it's not been part of it. Like, of course, like culturally Protestant Christian, growing up in Denmark, so we've been celebrating Christmas and Easter,
right, yeah.
But not really like having any going to church or anything.
Yeah.
So I think I was praying without really knowing it. I was like praying like for something deeper.
Yeah.
And then I started meditating when I was 18, like a year after that probably. And I really got into it. And the special sauce in heartfulness meditation is there's something called transmission of pranahuti, of life force energy. So if you sit with a trainer, that trainer will help you get into deeper meditation more easily. So a lot of people, they think, okay, meditation, you're not allowed to have any thoughts. I cannot meditate because I always thought that's okay. It's like the mind is always on. It's more like, do we give those thoughts energy, or do we put our attention somewhere else? And yeah, I got really into it. So I started when I was 18, been doing it ever since. So I'm my 12th year at this point. I've been volunteering as a trainer for 6 years at this point. So I conduct like individual sittings, group sittings. I go to like all these seminars and stuff. I've been in India, I think 5 or 7 times, can't even remember. I went there like for 4 months after high school, when I was 19.
Okay.
Living in the ashram, meditating a lot. Like, I don't keep count of hours, but when people ask me and I look back, like, I've been meditating for like 6 to 8 hours a day, a lot, when I was 19, like doing my thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like playing kendama for bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I feel like there is so much to learn from meditation, and I really want to share these experiences. And I think when I look at the youth and how every time we do a survey about how they're doing mentally, they're doing worse. I mean, Denmark is like 30% worse every 2 years. They check like depression, anxiety, all this stuff.
Right.
Stress. And I think our bodies, from an evolutionary perspective, are very developed. I think our consciousness has not caught up. We're very, like, all the brightest minds in the world, they grind for our attention. Like, we have like slot machines in our pocket. That's
truly,
and we're dependent on them. We're all addicted. Pretty much. And it's a very challenging time to be young. Like, we were just talking about some of these older stories where it wouldn't have been the same if we had Instagram from day one in kendama. It was very pure before this, and I think it's a very good image. I mean, we're the last generation who knew what life was before the internet, before social media, before constantly being plugged on. So I think getting in touch with your body, getting in touch with your heart, getting in touch with your soul, getting in touch with your deeper self, can be very easy. It's not very far away. So I'm actually working with a few cool people, like this therapist. He's been a therapist for more than 20 years, and this doctor who was like the first to bring like the surgery, like what do you call, like the surgery where you use like a little cam to Denmark. It's like this really clever guy. We're working on a project where we want to put meditation on the curriculum in Denmark for high schoolers. Okay. So do like a little thing where we do like 3 or 5 lessons, teach them how to breathe, teach them how to relax, teach them how to meditate, teach them how to be bored or mind wander for creativity. Teach them a little bit about consciousness and sleep and these basics, like this basic toolbox, and give them some of those experiences and just be like, here, this is, if you need this, you can always open this toolbox. Like, if you're interested, like, here's an invitation. I really want to do that. I think it aligns very well with kendama as well, but I'm very passionate about this. And I think, like, anybody listening to the podcast, like, I can really appreciate heartfulness meditation, because other than it having this special sauce with the transmission, it's also free. So there's no charge. Like, there's an app, it's for free. Like, it should be for everyone. It should be available for everyone. And that's very hard to comprehend for a lot of people in the West, because we're so, like, commercially programmed. And I think there are so many cool things now happening. Also, speaking of programming, like looking at how kids, when we're growing up, our brain waves are still in theta waves. So that's basically when our subconscious is being programmed. Until we're 7, we're only in theta, and then we could become more conscious. And looking at our phones before we sleep, and then all of a sudden crashing, doesn't allow us to be in theta. Theta is like hypnosis, it's imagination. And that's the only time, just when we fall asleep, just before falling asleep, just when waking up, that's when we can reprogram our subconscious. So during the day, our mind is 95% subconscious. So the prefrontal cortex is only 5%, the conscious mind is only 5%. So if we want to develop ourselves, and I think it's really important for the human evolution to keep developing ourselves and adapting
technologically. But it's like we're focused and focusing
and kind of coming into like a holistic place with the technology, because it's amazing, but it's also driving us insane. Literally, we're in generation, and we're going to see more generations where we're getting more and more insane. Like, we cannot take it; it's too intense. We need to find a balance in this and become like technological and holistic in our approach.
Yeah.
So I think there's like I have a lot on my heart with this, and for me personally, meditation has made me happy. That's like the first thing, and a byproduct has been giving me more focus, meeting a lot of cool people, meeting myself, and really learning how to be with myself, being more sensitive. Yeah, so that's a big part of me, and I think I love how people are so ready for it now. So back when I started,
Yeah.
like it was a bit more like, what are you doing? That's weird, you know. And I feel like a lot has happened. Like the world is really ready for this. So I'm actually planning to spend a lot of my time really going into this, because I feel like with my age right now, I can still talk to the youth and mirror them to some extent.
Still hip.
And still like remain relevant kind of thing.
Yeah, and maybe in 5-10 years, you know, it's a different story. So I feel like huge responsibility for this generation, because I feel like I have this gift, you know, I found. I really want to like make it.
You said earlier about like the responsibility of holding this knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
To share that.
Exactly. When there's something good, like you don't be selfish with it. Like I really want to share it, and I really believe in inner sustainability will create outer sustainability.
Absolutely.
Everything happens from within. It just takes one person to poison the ocean and we're all screwed. Yeah. It just takes one nuke and we're all screwed. Yeah. So in order to be empathic with humanity, I think raising our consciousness, raising our vibration, and doing that when you start working with yourself, it really affects a lot of people around you.
Absolutely.
You can like raise so many people around you by practicing something yourself.
Yeah.
And that's really the way I think, like, that's what I think the world needs. I really believe in it. Yeah.
I've heard, you know, to kind of like get out of bad shit. An example, like if you're just stuck smoking pot all the time, or like going to the bar and drinking all the time, it's like you got to reevaluate maybe those friends, those people that you're hanging out with, because that can really affect, again, your environment, then impacts you. So anything these people that are positive, giving you positive energy, could then, you know, in turn, like, you say, help you yourself.
Well, they say you become who you hang out with, right?
Yeah.
Because through that influence.
Exactly.
Because it's like you're saying, that subconscious mind is like so in control, and like you're like taking in all this exterior information and all this influence from these people, and whether it be the vibrations, the vibes, you know, the words, all that stuff. So of course these people are influencing you. Yeah. And that's like what you said, like why it's so important to be the positive influence and to like share that path, like whatever you have to offer the world, like give that up freely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing with kendama, because, you know, it's so welcoming. Most of the people are really cool, down to hang out and to share their knowledge of kendama trick or something, or to encourage each other, keep them motivated. So it's like, like if that is a positive way of thinking, positive people playing kendama get together, and then you just spread that, like that's, I guess, the kendama love in a different sense, a deeper sense.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I love how so much spirituality and quantum physics and neuroscience is all colliding. So recently, you know, if you smile genuinely, you're going to change the chemistry in somebody else's brain. By smiling. Yeah. We're like extremely connected, and spiritually it's like, we're all the same. Now science is like, quantum field, we're all part of the same quantum field. You know, there's so many ways that these things, so I think we're very ready for it. And a lot of people, they ask me, because I stopped drinking alcohol when I was 19, stopped smoking weed, like no like substances at all. And people are like, oh, why did you stop so early? And that's amazing, and these things. And people are like, feel like more open to do it differently now. I'm 30, and more like people are like drinking less or whatever. And for me, like, I wasn't stopping drinking alcohol. It wasn't like I'm a negative that I wanted to do, because stopping, not doing something is a negative. You choose to do something, focused on meditation, and I really wanted to go deep with that. So I just took a mindful, like, okay, I'm gonna do like no drinking, no nothing for a month, and just focus on the meditation. And the byproduct is like wanting to go deep with meditation was not doing those things. So I think everything is kind of like a ripple effect in quantum physics. Like the image of quantum physics is kind of like the drop into like the silent water, where it's like all these ripples. And I think everything we do is like that until another effect is even stronger. So when we manifest all the time, subconsciously, consciously. We cannot manifest from a negative. I don't want to drink. I do want to be more conscious. I do want to meditate. I do want to be more in touch with myself. That's like the way we want to go about it. And I think we're seeing a huge shift in our consciousness. And this time, like, the world is really like on fire, literally. It's so intense. There are some very dark forces going on.
Yeah.
And I think we have equally light forces. There's equally the amount of hope, of light, of, so many beautiful things going on, so much opening for like the inner world. And I think it's really important to always, when we think about the future, be aware that we're co-creating the future. So, of course, it's easy to get caught up and think dystopian, but I think thinking about how you want the world to be, how do you want your life to be, how does it feel to be in this future world, in this utopia where everything is as good as it can get, really like diving into that is very key to creating that. And it's the same kind of like having a vision will make you set goals and kind of like do the math backwards of how to get there. So you made all these part goals, and I think that's why having like a very positive, very grand vision, it's really important, and it serves a small purpose in life. And that's what a lot of people are missing. We're just like going to work. Everybody's job now is looking at a computer. It doesn't really give us any purpose.
Yeah.
So we can create this. And we used to live in the village. Like, we grew up, you would like bounce around, you'd learn some different stuff from, your grandparents. Like, we got kids earlier. There's like the whole wisdom bridge that, the wisdom that grandparents would give, that your parents wouldn't give you. And I think most people's core memories is from the grandparents. So I think creating communities is so important. And I'm stressing the S in communities because kendama community is amazing. So let's not keep it for ourselves. Let's connect. Let's keep doing this. And I think, a lot of people are like, oh, we cannot make the world better. It's so big and all this stuff is going on. But, we're all drops in the ocean. And one little smile, one little compliment, can change somebody's day like that. Like, I've been through a lot of stuff. Like, the past, 1.5 years has been, like, the hardest in my life, uncompared. Like, with divorce and having, like, good times with Krom, hard times, there's been many things. Also, like, personal stuff I'm not going to go into right now. But, I mean, on my, like, darkest days where I've been feeling so low and so down, I think without having, like, the meditation practice, I wouldn't have made it the same way. But also, like, on some of those days, like, if somebody just gave me a smile, like, greeted me nicely at the store, like, some of those little things, like, it would change my day completely. Yeah, I think we have such a big responsibility, and I think it's really important to remember, okay, we hold this responsibility and we can actually act. If you want to make the world better, we cannot change anybody but ourselves. We cannot change anything but ourselves. But what we do have a huge impact. So going out there and, bringing that good energy and finding ways of nurturing that in yourself, that'll change your world.
It's like Gandhi said, you have to be that change that you want to see in the world, right?
Exactly. And change yourself, your universe will change. Yeah.
Fucking A.
Episode 57, Damanerds. Happy to be here in Tokyo, Japan with you guys.
Yeah.
Thorkild, thank you so much. Dude, that was some of the greatest shit through so many different stories, different avenues, different treasures were opened up. Hopefully we reminded you of some of those things also. So that is amazing. We got a Patreon for people who support me and what I do. Thanks for sticking with us. Q&A time from the Patreons. We got 2 questions in. First one from legend Daniel Robinson. As a community, what aspects of kendama should we focus on to grow the game? Competitions, tricks, the question marks for those, usage and other functions of kendama.
I was going to say, I think we kind of covered that.
I think we covered
connecting like the mind.
Yeah, and I mean,
having the fun back into it, not just being technical and getting to the next tap.
Yeah, I think the short answer is we've come to a point where we matured as a community, so the competitions and everything is good, and we should keep progressing in those, but that's only part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we all agree, and I think we do, especially with D-Row, that we can make the world better through kendama, then we should share it. and we should be creative with the different avenues. And I think D-Row is very creative with different avenues of sharing kendama.
Yeah.
And for me, that's very much the future. And also collaborating and co-creating. It's really important.
Yeah. Spreading.
Yeah, and being experimental with spreading. I think there are so many things we haven't even explored with kendama, and I think we can look into skateboarding. Like there are like so many new ways of getting into it that we can do.
Yeah. Dude, I remember seeing a story from you like just last week or something with kids with some like brain tracker.
Yeah. We did think about that. Yeah, that's a whole other story. But that, I mean, we're working with this other startup, they're called Curvix, and they have this brain scanner, measuring the different brain waves, and the different activities. So we're doing experiments what kendama does to you when you play kendama, and they work a lot with kids with ADHD, and the founder, he's also very spiritual, and we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
A lot of the purposes is aligned. So
Nice.
I think that's also an avenue to look into, to get some science behind. And he's a neuroscientist. They have like a team of neuroscientists, and showing what we all know with the hard facts, what we all feel and know from our own experience, like having some data to back that up. I think keep being curious to explore, because the world is changing. So, like we talked about maybe spirituality, we weren't as ready 10 years ago as we are now. But again, the same with kendama, like the openness is very different. I feel like everybody I meet, they're really into it in a new way than, not that they weren't 10 years ago, but it's just there's a shift in consciousness constantly happening, and that's why we need to like keep exploring.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Keep experimenting. Yeah.
Next one comes from Brad Willard. It says, "What up, TK? My question for you is, what is your favorite memory from Japan, other than winning the world title, of course?"
What up, Brad Willard? Thanks for the question. Ooh. Favorite memory from Japan. There's a lot of favorite memories.
You've made so many trips out here, yeah.
This is the 14th or 15th trip to Japan. And I mean, there's a clip with Matthias and Simona and I think in the back of Sauer's car, where we're like doing Moshikame and
singing.
Yeah, singing and clapping.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe can we do that one? Like, turn it off. We're like, skip a beep, pop, beep, bo, bo. Skip a beep, pop, beep, bo.
Oh, shit.
Skip a beep, pop, beep, bo. Pop, beep, bo.
Up,
bowl. Beep, pop, beep, bo. Beep, pop, beep, bo. Beep, pop, beep, bo. Beep, pop, beep, bo. Let's go.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Dude, yes. Oh, this has been such a great episode, man.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Thorkild.
Really appreciate the invite.
Yeah. Thank you, Thorkild, for coming and doing this with us and sitting down. And it's fucking always a pleasure to be in person doing these rather than online. Like we were saying, like online was there when we needed it, but we don't fucking always need it. It's better to be here to connect on this level. And I guess on that note, these nerds are out.